LeBron James back to the Cavaliers, Nikola Jokic to the Lakers, Rui Hachimura joining the Clippers. It sounds completely insane, but for the first time, none of it can be dismissed. Donovan Mitchell's blockbuster commitment to Cleveland has ignited a chain reaction across the NBA. Rival executives are scrambling, contenders are panicking, and the league could be one shocking decision away from the most explosive offseason in years.
This is now the second extension that Donovan Mitchell has signed in Cleveland ever since he got there in 2022, and this is a stamp and a pledge to his commitment in Cleveland as this team clearly tries to compete for a championship in the East.
And compete for the LeBron sweepstakes as well, because you reported the Cavs are trying to lure him back to Cleveland. How does this extension play into that picture?
Hannah, it doesn't hurt that a franchise cornerstone has now committed, doubled down on his commitment to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And Donovan Mitchell, I'm told, has been very active in a significant part of the conversations the Cavs officials have been having this summer on upgrading the roster. And yes, that includes the pursuit of LeBron James. And I'm told behind has made it clear that he would embrace LeBron coming to the Cavaliers and joining him in Cleveland. Another wing as well that the Cavs have pursued here in free agency is Jonathan Kuminga, unrestricted free agent after his team option was declined by Atlanta. Kenny Atkinson coached Jonathan Kuminga in Golden State as an assistant. So LeBron James is the first priority for the Cavaliers, and Donovan Mitchell is fully on board with that and upgrading the Cavs roster overall after they made a run to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Is there a better situation than Cleveland in your mind for LeBron?
I still have questions about Philly. I know I might be in the minority on that. But when I look at where LeBron would take his talents next, I'm thinking of where he's going to have the least mileage in terms of games played and experience and the most youth around him that he can help move forward. And I know folks will debate on what role he wants to have in his next stop. But I think Cleveland, I personally am a big fan of the full circle moment of it all, the storybook of it all. I think Donovan Mitchell is one of the better options in terms of superstars that are in their prime still that he could be paired with.
To me, this is it. The lineup here, because when I bring out my Rich Paul, whiteboard, I put up this starting lineup and I'm like, this is plug and play. I know you like that, Wendy. For LeBron James, you have a point guard in James Harden who has completely moved, or at least he should at this point, to straight up facilitator knocking down open shots. You have Donovan Mitchell, who's locked in for the long term. And when we talk about his tenure, he has been a 4-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA when he's worn a Cleveland Cavaliers uniform, averaging 27 points per game. He's one of the top best players in the league. Evan Mobley, a DPOY, and Jared Allen, who people sleep on the fact that he's two-way. He was once an All-Star, but, he's the type of guy that in the playoffs can provide an oomph, can provide a necessary oomph.
That works.
Especially in the front court. So when I look at the field and starting fives in Cleveland, and I'm LeBron James, and I love being at home, getting that home cooking, I might see I can just insert myself at the 3. We can play small ball with me at the 4. We can go super big and play with me at the 3. There are options here that might actually really work.
I love what you did there, because the shortcoming, guys, as we've seen the last couple seasons for the Cavs, has been being able to show up in the playoffs. This year,
Jaylen Brown is going to wear number 7 for the Sixers, Kyle Lowry's old number. Paul George becomes the newest member of the Boston Celtics, and the Celtics thank Jaylen Brown on social media, saying in part, the impact that you made both on and off the court will forever be felt by the city of Boston and Celtics fans everywhere. Thank you to one of the all-time great Celtics. Don't sleep on that line. So why did this trade happen? Well, team president Brad Stevens talked about his reasoning on Monday.
The path looked a little bit more challenging to me. I might be wrong. I'm not going to stand up here and be defensive about that. But the path looked a little bit more challenging with 70% of our cap and such a high percent of our usage tied into 2 players. You have to do a great job, and you have to have the optionality to do a great job of building out depth that can hopefully replace the irreplaceable individual. And that's not an easy thing to do. I've lost sleep over the fan part of this. I get it. There's a bunch of 7 jerseys around. We're not up here to defend ourselves in this decision that is going to certainly be scrutinized. We're okay with that. But we're more so dealing with the emotions of Jaylen not being here, just like you are.
He's not the only one who's not there. Look at this. Just 2 years after they win the NBA title, look who's gone. The Celtics core from that 2024 NBA Finals is down to just Derek White and Jason Tatum. It's kind of stark, right? So the word that Brad Stevens used over and over was optionality. He kept saying that. What did he mean? Did what he said really change anybody's mind about this trade? What exactly did he say, Brian? DeMar DeRozan. Giannis reflected on his time in Milwaukee.
Maybe I've waited too long, and I see guys playing deep into the playoffs, and I think I'm like, okay, maybe if I switch teams and I go somewhere else and have a better opportunity, I can play deep in the playoffs. I can go try to chase another championship because I really want that, and I'm scared that maybe if I don't take that decision, that when I'm going to be 37, 38 years old, hopefully, and I'm retiring, I'm going to say, why you didn't take that risk? And people don't understand it's a risk.
Yeah, not an easy decision, right? And we saw that play out in real time. He leaves the Bucks all-time leader in points, rebounds, assists, blocks. Kevin Garnett with the Wolves. He's the only other player to currently lead a franchise in all 4 categories. So we go from a 2-time to a 3-time MVP, Nikola Jokic, overseas playing the FIBA World Cup qualifiers. He told reporters there that he wants to wait on signing a possible contract extension with Denver. He said to them, and I quote, "My idea and desire is to stay in Denver. I'll probably sign next year. My desire is to play the rest of my life in Denver." Is that nice to hear? He could add an extra season at around $82 million, so that's a motivation if he waits until next offseason to extend. And that extra contract year is during the year he turns 37 around mid-season. How should the Nuggets fans feel about this, Wendy?
This is the inverse of what Donovan Mitchell did. Donovan Mitchell could have waited a year and decided not to. Nikola Jokic obviously intends to wait a year. In Denver, they rely on their relationship with Jokic and what he said, which is a Nugget for life. So they say they'll be sleeping soundly. The rest of the league says we're going to see that the door was left cracked open, and we're going to just keep an eye on that situation very closely. I will say this. The Nuggets were expected to cut salary this summer, and I do think eventually they will. They're near the second apron, and they have to do it at some point, but they haven't done it yet. So maybe Jokic, just putting off his decision will convince the Nuggets to spend a little bit more luxury tax money this year.
Yeah, listen, the West is just getting tougher. Yes.
And let's not sleep on the fact that there are sleepers in this LeBron James conversation, because we talk about the Denver Nuggets, and I remember that whiteboard, and I saw a team on there, and they are still in the running, and you look at what people do. He said, I want to be here for the long term. Noted. Yeah, you can see in the corner there's Denver, and Murray, and Johnson, and Gordon, and Jokic.
That's I see your Knicks in there. I see all sorts of teams in there.
Yep. So I'm here thinking about, okay, could we also see this as a possibility? Rich, big bro Rich, big little bro for me.
Girl. This is Rich Paul, for those of you that don't know that she is referring to.
Can we get it narrowed down with the whiteboard? I would love that. As the day's going, we need an update. So I'm just manifesting.
He was with his podcast partner yesterday, tried to ask him about 1,000 times, and he just wouldn't give anything. He wouldn't say anything about this. But as Wendy knows, right, we're all going to find out at the last second, right, my friend?
Everybody's basing their guess on vibes. There's very, very little actionable information. I wish I had the information. All I see out there is a lot of vibes.
LeBron James back to Cleveland. Nikola Jokic wearing Lakers gold. Rui Hachimura becoming a Clipper. A few months ago, these ideas sounded impossible, almost ridiculous. But now, the NBA landscape has entered dangerous territory. Because one superstar decision has the power to destroy the balance of the league. Donovan Mitchell just sent a message that shook the entire NBA. He didn't just sign another contract extension with the Cleveland Cavaliers. He made a statement, a commitment, a warning. Mitchell is telling the basketball world that Cleveland is no longer rebuilding. They are hunting. This is now the second extension Donovan Mitchell has signed since arriving in Cleveland in 2022. And during his time with the Cavaliers, the numbers tell the story. 4-time All-Star, three-time All-NBA selection, averaging around 27 points per game in a Cleveland uniform. This is not just a talented player staying comfortable. This is a franchise cornerstone locking himself into a championship mission. And according to reports, Mitchell has become heavily involved in Cleveland's offseason conversations, including the shocking pursuit of bringing LeBron James back home. The question is no longer, could LeBron return to Cleveland? The question is, could Cleveland actually build the perfect situation to make it happen? But the biggest reason this dream refuses to disappear is because Donovan Mitchell himself may actually want it to happen. And that changes everything. Superstars usually control their own future. But rarely do you see a player already under contract actively helping shape the next championship roster. That is exactly why Donovan Mitchell's role in Cleveland has become so fascinating. Reports indicate Mitchell has made it clear he would welcome LeBron James returning to Cleveland. Think about that. The player who replaced LeBron as the face of the Cavaliers is now opening the door for the greatest player in franchise history to come back and finish the story. A full circle moment. A basketball movie script. But the Cavaliers are not chasing nostalgia. They are chasing championships. Because look at the potential lineup. Donovan Mitchell, LeBron James, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. That is not a retirement tour. That is a dangerous playoff team. Evan Mobley has already established himself as one of the NBA's elite defenders and a Defensive Player of the Year winner. Jared Allen remains one of the league's most underrated two-way big men, a former All-Star who can dominate inside and protect the rim. And Mitchell is still in his prime. For LeBron, the attraction is obvious. Less pressure. More youth, a roster that can actually carry the burden. Instead of rebuilding around an aging superstar, Cleveland could allow LeBron to become the final piece. The missing weapon, the championship accelerator. But while Cleveland dreams of bringing back a legend, another NBA powerhouse just made a decision that shocked the entire league. And it proves one thing. Championship teams are no longer guaranteed to stay together. 2 years after winning the NBA championship, the Boston Celtics are a completely different team. The foundation is cracking. Jaylen Brown is gone. Paul George arrives. And suddenly, the Celtics' 2024 championship core has been reduced to only Jason Tatum and Derek White. That is a stunning transformation. Celtics president Brad Stevens admitted the decision was not easy. His explanation? Optionality, a word that defined Boston's entire strategy. Stevens explained that nearly 70% of the team's salary and a massive percentage of usage were tied into 2 players. And his argument was simple. The path forward became too difficult, too expensive, too restrictive. But fans are asking a different question. Did Boston just sacrifice a superstar for flexibility? Because replacing an elite player is not something you can simply calculate on a spreadsheet. You cannot replace leadership. You cannot replace playoff experience. You cannot replace a championship heartbeat. The Celtics believe they are protecting their future. Critics believe they just destroyed their present. And that debate is exactly what makes this offseason so dangerous. And Boston's shocking decision connects to the biggest question facing the NBA right now. How long do superstars stay loyal before they start searching for the next championship? Nikola Jokic created another wave of uncertainty. The 3-time MVP has made it clear. His desire is to stay in Denver. He said he wants to play the rest of his career as a Nugget. But he also decided to wait before signing a possible extension. And that single decision opened the door for speculation. Because the NBA has learned one painful lesson. Words matter, but championships matter more. Giannis Antetokounmpo recently admitted he questioned whether staying in Milwaukee was the right decision. He talked about the fear of reaching the end of his career and wondering, why didn't I take that risk? That is the reality of today's NBA.
Loyalty is valuable, but championship opportunities are priceless. For Jokic, Denver fans believe his commitment is real. But every rival team in the league is watching. Because when the best player in basketball leaves a door slightly open, every contender runs toward it. And that brings us back to the biggest mystery of the summer. The superstar domino that could change everything. Right now, the NBA is surrounded by rumors.
Cleveland, Denver, Los Angeles, Philadelphia. Every team connected to LeBron James has one thing in common. They believe one decision could change their future. But the truth is, nobody knows. The rumors are everywhere. The information is limited.
The possibilities are endless.
And that uncertainty is what makes this offseason so explosive.
Because if LeBron returns to Cleveland, if Jokic ever considers leaving Denver,
if another superstar decides to chase a championship elsewhere,
the entire NBA could collapse and rebuild overnight. The league is waiting. Executives are watching. Fans are dreaming.
And Donovan Mitchell's commitment may have started the biggest chain reaction of the summer.
Because sometimes, one superstar staying home creates the chaos that sends everyone else searching for a new home. The question is no longer who is the best team in the NBA. The question is, who will make the first move that changes everything? Because this offseason, one decision could rewrite the entire league.
Yo, mic check 1 to 2, -1, -2. Game over for this video, folks. Smash that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to stay in the huddle for more. This is NFL Madness, bringing the heat and signing out.